You know, we see these absolutely giant, graceful turbines spinning on hillsides and out at sea, and it all seems so simple, right? But the reality of actually harnessing the wind, well, it's a story of incredible scale, some really surprising complexity, and a few genuinely invisible forces. Okay, let's get into it.
I mean, the vision is just grand and inspiring. You look at a scene like this, and you can really feel that potential. All that clean power being generated on a massive scale. And as Girish Tanti from the Suzlon Group says, this is all about building a more sustainable world. And believe me, the ambition here is being matched by some incredible momentum.
So for this explainer, we're going to use what you could call an hourglass structure. We'll start out big with the huge global picture. Then we'll narrow our focus way down to a fascinating, invisible problem and some very human challenges. After that, we'll broaden back out to the solutions that are scaling us up. And finally, we'll bring it all the way home to you and what wind power could actually mean in your own backyard.
All right, so let's start at the top. The big story in wind energy right now is just one of massive, record-breaking growth. There is an incredibly powerful tailwind pushing the entire industry forward.
You know, what's so striking here is the sheer confidence. According to the Global Wind Energy Council, even in what they call a difficult environment, the industry isn't just surviving, it's expecting another record-breaking year. This isn't just wishful thinking, it's a real trend built on years of accelerating deployment. But as we build more and more of these massive farms, we're starting to discover some new, pretty tricky challenges.
And this is where our story takes a really sharp turn. Because for all the visible progress you can see, there's an invisible force at play, a kind of drag on our power that we're only just beginning to fully wrap our heads around.
Just think about that for a second. We build wind farms to harness the weather, but what happens if, on a massive scale, they actually start to create their own weather systems? It sounds a little like science fiction, but it is a very, very real phenomenon.
Okay, take a look at this. What you're seeing here isn't some weird cloud formation. No, this is the atmospheric footprint of an offshore wind farm. Each one of those turbines is creating a wake, basically a trail of turbulent, slower-moving air that stretches for miles and miles downwind.
So here's the crucial point. We're not talking about the wakes that happen inside a single wind farm. We've known about those for a while. This is about external wakes, that energy-depleted air that travels from one wind farm and actually impacts another one kilometers away. And a recent study by the consultancy Arcvira just revealed how big of a deal this really is.
So in one case study, they looked at an onshore wind farm in the US. After a brand new, bigger farm was built 13 kilometers away, the original farm saw its energy production drop by a measured 3.6%. Now, the standard engineering models everyone was using, they had predicted almost zero impact at all.
And in another case, the story got even crazier. Using more advanced atmospheric models, they found that the real-world losses from these wakes could be 16% higher than even what the measured data was telling them. This just goes to show you that our old tools are simply not capturing the full picture of what's happening.
And this right here, illustrates what's at stake offshore. In a simulation of a really densely packed wind area off the coast of New York, the potential energy loss from these external wakes was estimated at a staggering 28.9%. That is a massive, previously unaccounted for drag on performance.
But here's the good news. The solution isn't to stop building. It's to get a whole lot smarter. You see, these advanced atmospheric models, like the one mentioned here, can actually simulate these super complex interactions. That allows planners to design layouts that minimize these invisible losses before a single turbine ever gets built. It's a classic case of science racing to solve the problems created by our own engineering success.
But the invisible challenges aren't just atmospheric. There are also these powerful social and political headwinds, often fueled by misinformation, that can stop a project dead in its tracks. This data from the Global Wind Report is absolutely fascinating. It shows you how all these different claims, some with a tiny grain of truth, others just completely false, start to gain traction. I mean, look at the percentages of people in the UK and the US who agree with statements that turbines cause major health problems, or emit more CO2 than they save, or even cause bird extinction. These beliefs create a real climate of uncertainty and hostility that developers constantly have to navigate. So, how does the industry fight back? Well, not just with facts, but with strategy. The Global Wind Energy Council is actually developing what they're calling a disinformation war room. It's a really high-tech approach. It uses AI to detect these misinformation campaigns as they're emerging, and then helps craft preemptive, locally tailored responses to debunk them before they can take root.
So we've seen the invisible challenges, right? Both in the air and on the ground.
Now let's broaden our view back out. How do we actually overcome all these hurdles to build the next terawatt of wind power and meet our global climate goals?
It really comes down to a three-pronged strategy. First, localization, making sure that these projects are deeply woven into the local economies. Second, collaboration, especially public-private partnerships to build out that vital infrastructure. And third, leveraging big international agreements, like the COP climate summits, to turn global targets into actual turbines on the ground.
And look, this isn't just some theory. Check out these examples from the company Goldwind. In Vietnam, they've localized 66% of their operations teams. In Egypt, their project is sourcing major components like tower sets from local companies, creating hundreds of jobs, and really becoming a catalyst for the community. This is how you build support that lasts.
But you know, you can build all the turbines in the world, and it won't matter one bit if you can't get the power to the people. The single biggest bottleneck, so often, is the electrical grid. And that's why these public-private partnerships, like the ones being used in countries from South Africa to Azerbaijan, are just absolutely critical to funding and building the transmission infrastructure we need for a renewable future.
Okay, so we've gone from global growth to these crazy invisible forces and back out to global solutions. Now, for the final step, let's bring this entire story right down to the most personal level there is, your own home.
With all this talk of gigawatts and global supply chains, it's pretty easy to forget that wind power can also be incredibly local. For the right person in the right place, a small wind turbine can be a totally practical way to generate your own clean energy.
The technology itself is actually elegantly simple. You've got the rotor, which is what captures the wind's energy, a generator to turn that motion into electricity, a tower to get the whole thing up into cleaner, faster wind, and a tail to make sure it's always pointed in the right direction.
But, and this is a big but, it's not as simple as just having a windy backyard. Where you put it, the siting, is everything. Obstacles like your house or trees create what's called turbulence, just chaotic, swirling air that not only slashes the amount of energy you can capture, but can also cause damaging wear and tear on the turbine itself. The real key is getting it high enough and far enough away from all that stuff.
So, from those vast atmospheric wakes between offshore giants, all the way down to the turbulent little eddies in your own backyard, and from global misinformation campaigns to local zoning laws, the path to a wind-powered future is just full of these invisible challenges. The question isn't whether we can build the machines, but whether we're ready to truly understand and navigate all the forces, both seen and unseen, that are ultimately going to determine our success.